Hey y'all, it's Joefer, the cranky old gay guy, and today I'm coming to you from the heart of Portland, Oregon, from the beautiful Concordia area, also known as the Alberta Arts District. Today we are going to talk about gym etiquette explained. So first I'm going to give you a definition of etiquette in general. We're going to read this so I make sure I get it right. Etiquette, the customary code of polite behavior in society or among members of a particular profession or group. So, the gym, etiquette. Let's start in the parking lot because when you go to the gym I go to, that's where you start. It's a busy gym. Oftentimes, if it's prime time, mornings or evenings, early evenings, there is a struggle to find somewhere to park. So you, as a gym member, get free parking. So when you're walking out to your car, you see people will see you walk to your car. So they'll get in the line, you might say. So they're waiting in their car, waiting for you to get in your car and leave. And you get in your car, start it up, and then you get on your phone and you talk for 20 minutes or you text for 20 minutes or you turn up your music and you're just sitting there. Ooh, it makes me grumpy. It's really inconsiderate for you to do that when you see people are waiting. This is a shared resource. The parking space is a shared resource. You get to use it while you're using it, but you're done now. Drive away somewhere else. If you need to talk on the phone or text somebody a conversation, pull into a 15-minute zone. Take care of it there. Or better yet, leave the area and pull off to the side of the road in the shade and go ahead and take care of it. But you're really holding up traffic. You're causing a congested area and you're pissing people off. Same for people who walk to their cars and they're talking with someone as they're walking. They get to the car and then they stand there outside the car and have a 15, 20-minute conversation again. Now, if there's nobody waiting for parking, you just take as long as you want. But when you see people coming and going looking for parking spaces and you're just standing there and you've got a space that you could vacate very easily, vacate the space and let someone else have it. Okay? That's parking lot etiquette. And when you're in the parking lot, watch out for pedestrians because they don't watch out for you. And if you are a pedestrian, stop looking at your phone and pay attention so you're not walking out in front of somebody because that happens every time I go. Somebody walks right in front of you because their face is glued to their phone. So knock it off. Okay? Now let's move inside the gym. Once inside the gym, in my particular gym, there are 3 levels. The pool, locker room, steam sauna are all on the first floor as far as check-in goes. Second floor is the free weights and the machines. There's also a big room for classes. Lots of mirrors. It's the busiest room, I think. And then on the third floor is cardio, where they have the um, cycling classes as well as the treadmills, the gliders, the stair steppers. And that's also where there are public bathrooms. Individual solo bathrooms, you go in by yourself and lock the door. There are no bathrooms on the second floor, so if you need to go, you need to go back to the locker room or you go up to the third floor. Shared equipment again, gym etiquette. Be polite. Don't mess shit up. If you sweat on something, clean it up. If you're worried about COVID, walk over to the paper towel dispenser and the little spray bottle and clean up before and after you use the equipment. Okay, this was mandatory during COVID. COVID's over. There are still some people that do it. Personally, I'm not leaking all over. If something looks gross, I'll clean it before I sit down. I do use the hand gel in between sets often, and that way everything I'm touching, I'm not going to have to wipe it down. Again, I'm not sweating, so I'm not, and I'm wearing clothes, so I'm not leaving traces of me all over the place, sweat-wise. Equipment. Equipment is shared, and oftentimes it is packed. The squat area, where you have a barbell and you stand up and do squats, there are 3 stations for that. They're usually full, and there are people who will start using it, and then they'll step to the side and play with their phone for 5 or 6 minutes in between sets. I get a 30-second to a minute rest in between sets. But when you do that, or worse yet, walk across the gym to talk to somebody, or walk across the gym to use another piece of equipment, and you still have your bag and your shit blocking that station, you're keeping someone else from doing it. You should let people work in. You should offer to let people work in if you see that they're waiting, if you're going to take long pauses like that. That is etiquette, and it should be followed. Moving from that machine, we're going to walk over to, boy, I don't even, it's like a leg lift machine. You sit on it and you kick your legs out. There are 3 of them. One of them is actually comfortable on my back. The other one is much too short. I think it was built for tinier people. And the third one, you think it's going to be fine, but you can't get a full leg extension because the back pushes you forward. It actually folds, and it's really awkward to use, and I prefer to use the one that's best for my back. Unfortunately, that seems to be the most popular one. And you will have people who will go and sit on it, and they'll get on their phone, and they'll just play on their phone for 20, 30 minutes. I might go through 6 or 7 different exercises on the floor watching that area, because as soon as that person gets up, I'm going to try to get over there so I can get on it and use it. But instead, that entire time that I'm working on other equipment, they're on their phone. Recently, this happened in that someone drug a chair over there next to it, put their bag down, their water bottle and everything, and they used the machine, and then they sat in this chair. And I walked over after a while and said, "Are you still on this?" And they said, "Yes." Were they? They continued to sit there. I went and I did my other stations. Looking back, I see someone else go over and approach and say, "Are you still on this?" They said, "Yeah, I'm still on it." And then they put their feet up onto the bench that you sit on, the seat part, while they're still sitting in their chair, and they're still doing this on their phone. That's really, really poor etiquette, and not wanting to be confrontational, as that's poor etiquette in itself. I didn't say anything to you, and neither did the other guy that came over and asked to use the equipment. But you should realize that it is shared and you don't own it. And if you're not going to use it at that time, you should step aside and let other people use it. Next etiquette issue. I haven't seen this recently. It was addressed by management, and maybe that resolved it. There were groups of 3 or 4 guys that would come in, and they would get on a piece of equipment um, and they would tie up that equipment for a good 40 minutes. But it's not just that equipment. Since there's 4 of them, they might each go and put their crap on a piece of equipment. And then you think, okay, well, they're going to rotate, which makes sense. And that way they're all working out together, but they all using the same machines, but at different times. Unfortunately, it will start that way, and then they'll congregate on one machine and just stand there and talk. And the other 3 machines they got their stuff on are just vacant and no one can use them. And someone must have brought it to someone's attention, because there was a former trainer that was there, and I was working out on the cable machine, and they were across from me. And I heard the conversation where he said, "Hey, we've had complaints that you guys are holding up a lot of the equipment and you're not using them." And these guys pretty much told this former trainer, it's like, "Hey, we're paid members, so F off." And he said, "That's not cool. Other people are paid members too. Everyone deserves to use the equipment." And these guys weren't having it. And with like 5, 10 minutes later, this former trainer didn't run off and say anything. But there must have been staff standing around, because they went down and got the manager, who came up and had a long discussion with them. And there were some raised voices. She was more whispering when she talked. She wasn't loud like the guys were. But that's the last time I saw them at the gym. So I don't know if they moved to another gym, or if they just quit going, or maybe they're just at a new location. But They were not obeying good etiquette laws at the gym. And I'm glad that it was addressed, but it shouldn't have to be addressed because you should know better. You're an adult. You shouldn't be hogging equipment, okay? Don't work on one piece of equipment and run across the gym to another piece and then run back and expect it to be there because it's not fair to anyone else.
Today's sponsor of the Cranky Old Gay Guy Show is the book 35 Letters, Letters from a Mother to Her Son by author Joseph L. Ferguson. This is a delightful book that will surely bring up memories of one's childhood and their past. This is Mr. Ferguson's #1 best-selling book.
The stretching zone. There are some mats, and there's this fake green carpet, fake outdoor grass, plastic grass, over a padded area. And this is where you are to go do your stretches, your yoga poses, etc., just to get ready to work out or after the workout when you're winding down. There's very limited space. The mats, depending on who's stretching and how they're stretching, you might get 5 people on them. The way they have the mat shoved under this rail, you lose like that much the mat space, so you're overhanging. They're only like 6-foot mats anyway, 5.5 feet. So if you're taller than 4 feet and you lay down on that mat, you're going to be hanging off the edge, which is a walking zone. So it's a trip hazard. They need to do something about that. The mats are also usually dirty. They look very, very dirty. So even before COVID, you wipe them down before you use them because unfortunately the gym allows street shoes to come in and they get a little mud and gravel and marks on them, which is also poor etiquette. Do not wear street shoes at the gym. Change your shoes when you get there. Don't track the outdoors in unless it's in the locker room and you're changing shoes. It's my opinion, but that just seems like good etiquette to me. So when they're doing this stretching, you will have individuals. It's not usually just one. There will be one person who does their entire workout on the stretching area. You know, they bring free weights and bands and all this, and they'll be there the entire time. And, I mean, that's what it's for. It's a stretching area. If they want to do that, they're doing it. They are keeping other people from using the mats, but they are using it in a legitimate fashion. Now, there are others who will come in 2s or 3s, and they'll start stretching, and then they start talking, and they all kind of just face each other. So they're taking up 9 feet of mat, 8 feet of mat, and they're all sitting there, and they're just talking, and they're talking, and they're talking. They're waiting for a class to start. They get there a half hour early. So for that half hour, no one can use those mats because they're stretching. But in reality, they're not. They're just sitting there talking. And some of them do it after a class. They'll come out and we're going to unwind and stretch. So they'll take up this big space and then they talk about, oh, who's dating who or fashion. I mean, I understand hot goss and how important it is to a lot of people, but that's not the location for it. If you're not going to be actively stretching out on the stretching area on the mats or the green grass, move along, step aside, take a sidebar, have a discussion elsewhere because you're taking up space and it makes me grumpy. And I'm not the only one that gets grumpy. I see people get pissed at you. They don't confront you, but they do get pissed at you for doing what you're doing. And phones. It's a generational thing because I don't see people my age or up or even around my age for the most part. I mean, they do carry phones and a lot of them listen to music, but they aren't glued to the phone like this. So many people, primarily under 30, will get on a piece of equipment and pull out their phone and it's like, oh, they're queuing up their music. They have earbuds in. Well, no, they're not. They're texting a friend and they're sitting there and they're just wasting time. Why are you even going to a gym if you're just going to sit around on your phone? Okay? It's like, why would you go camping and bring a video game? You're not enjoying camping. you're in your tent playing a video game when you should be out in the wilderness. It's the same at the gym. Don't bring a phone to play with. I mean, if you're going to listen to your music, that's great. But if it's so important that you have to be texting the entire time because you've got something else going on, then maybe you shouldn't be at the gym at that time. Again, poor etiquette, and it makes me cranky. And not just me, it makes a lot of people cranky. Just watch their faces when they see you doing that. Look up from your phone once in a while. You've been there hogging this space. How many people have walked by and paused and looked at you like, are you done with this equipment yet? Think about that one. Okay? So now let's move downstairs. I'm not going to get into the etiquette of the swimming pool. I swim very few laps. I find a way if I want to do it, but there will be people waiting and waiting to get a lane. So I guess share your lanes. That's all I can say. I see people force their way in. I see people refuse to let people in. So the etiquette there, I'm not partaking in it, and I don't know these people or how they're interacting, so I'm going to just let that one slide. But I am going to move to the locker room. The locker room. The locker room is a place to change clothes. It's connected to the shower, so it's a place to bathe and change clothes. It's a place to dry off and change clothes. So if you're one of these people who get offended by the excuse me, excuse me. If you're one of these people who get offended by the sight of a naked man or a man's body, then maybe you shouldn't use the locker room. Yes, there are certain individuals who strut through the locker room butt naked, and you just can't get that vision out of your eye. It just burnt into your brain, okay? And I feel for you. I understand what that's like. But at the same time, don't be offended because someone drops their towel at their locker, or they step out of the shower and are drying off and you see their junk. Because I hear people, again, younger people, who you'd think would know better because they're pretty athletic looking, like they've had college or high school sports and they've been in locker rooms before. But they'll come in and they'll say, "Oh my God, put some fucking clothes on, walking around here naked like that." And they'll say it under their breath. They don't address the person, but the person hears it, and it's insulting. And I am not one to parade through the locker room butt naked. I usually wrap a towel around myself before I parade through the locker room. But I will occasionally come from the shower, and you'll have a towel held in front of you, and I will walk the 15 feet to my locker to dry off. Or, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't walk out of the shower area wet because that's also bad etiquette because you're leaving puddles all over the place. And if someone's changing and they have socks on and they step in that, it just ruins their day. So I dry off in there, but there are times when I'm right across from the shower room. So I'll just hold the towel in front of me and go to my locker. Why take the time to stretch it out and wrap it around you? If that offends you, too bad. It's a men's locker room, so get over it. I did come from the showers one day, that 15 feet, and I had a towel right in front of me, and I unlocked my locker, and this guy comes in. He's 20 feet behind me, and he goes, "Oh, fuck. You shouldn't be naked in this locker room." And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Put some fucking clothes on." And I said, "It's a locker room. I'm getting changed." And he goes, "Are you some kind of a faggot? Are you gay or something? My parents are going to come in here." And I was like, "What did you say?" And then he starts mumbling to himself. And there was a guy about 6 feet from him and about 7 feet from me. And he looked at me and he looked at him. And then he just shook his head and put his head down. And this guy continued to just mumble. And he went off on some Christian rant about being against Jesus and being against the Bible because nudity's bad. And I'm just thinking he's not altogether there. Because I said, "What did you say?" And he ignored me. So I ignored him. And I very slowly got dressed top down to make sure that my bottom half was exposed for his inconvenience. Now, was that bad etiquette on my part? It might have been, but when someone comes in and starts talking trash and condemning you for doing what you do in the locker room, Make him uncomfortable. Make him not want to come back. That would be great. Absolutely great. Now, etiquette as well. You shouldn't be thrusting your junk in someone's face. If they're sitting on a bench tying their shoes, you shouldn't step in front of them with your willy in their face. Have a towel on, or say excuse me as you pass by them, so your junk isn't right there. Because if it's junk that they wanted to see, they would probably be scoping you out. Obviously they're not, so don't push that on them. And for the gentleman I'm going to bring up next, I haven't seen since pre-COVID, so maybe he doesn't go to the gym anymore, or he was 86th. You would walk in the locker room and you have to pass the sink and the mirrors as you come in. And there was a guy that every morning you'd come in and he would be there and he'd have one leg up on the counter like this, and he'd have a Bic razor, and he would be not shaving his junk, he'd be shaving his chode. Okay? Why he's doing that in front of a mirror, I don't know. You can't see anything in the mirror. He's not looking in the mirror. He's just using the bench to put his leg up on while he's all bent over and raking this razor across his taint from the taint and the chode. And ain't nobody want to see that. Ain't nobody need to see that. And once you see it, it will haunt you for the rest of your life. Okay? So, chode shaver. Do it in a shower stall where no one has to see you. Okay? Or do it in a bathroom stall where no one has to see you. Or do it at home where no one has to see you. But don't do it right there with your ass spread in front of a big mirror or sinks where everyone has to come and wash their hands, because it's bad etiquette. For you guys out there who shave your chode, more power to you. But I'm guessing you're not doing it in front of a huge wall mirror at a gymnasium where people are going to be walking by. Again, bad etiquette makes me cranky. And I used to work with someone who knew exactly who this person was when I mentioned it. And they quit going to the gym at that time because this dude was there every day. And I think his thing was that he wanted people to see his chode. Maybe that was just his thing. But it was pretty gross. And he didn't work out. He would come in, strip naked, walk around the locker room for quite a while in a towel, look at himself in the mirror, open his towel, look at himself again, and then he would put on shorts and he would go out to the pool, steam sauna area, and I would go work out, and I would come back and he would be traipsing back and forth, just patrolling creepily. He had an odd look to him. Obviously not an athletic person, but scrawny. Hair that was very recognizable. I'm not going to out this person as far as who he is, because if I described what he'd look like and you'd ever seen him, you'd know exactly who I'm talking about. But it was poor etiquette, and it makes me cranky. That's about everything I'm going to say about the gym right now. I don't think I've said anything bad about the gym, and I haven't called out any individuals. So if you recognize yourself in one of these descriptions, maybe it wasn't you. So don't get offended and come and confront me at the gym, because that also is bad etiquette. If you have something to say it in the comments below. Okay? And on that note, this is Joefer, the cranky old gay guy. And I'm wishing you a happy post 4th of July. Have good times at the gym. Namaste. Namaste. There's a song in there somewhere. And until next time, see ya. Since we are discussing the gym today and its health benefits and good etiquette, I am going to give a shout out to a podcast I listen to. He also has a YouTube channel, and it is an older gay guy show hosted by Joey Hernandez out of the Boston area. His podcast will take you back in time. He talks a lot about things that happened to him in his life growing up. He has guests on sometimes. He has nostalgia for 1960s television shows. He has an interesting background as a mortician. He is a bodybuilder of sorts, I guess, and he's a trainer. And he offers online through YouTube, I believe, training classes on how to lose weight, as well as general health and fitness. But I would really suggest that you pay attention to some of his podcasts. I listen whenever they come out. They seem to be more sporadic. I mean, they'll say when they're coming out, and they don't necessarily come out on that day. So, I mean, give him a break. He doesn't get paid for this, so give him a break. Check him out. I will leave his link down below in the description. And if you talk to him, tell him the cranky old gay guy sent him or sent you. The cranky old guy. Yeah. Wow, I am getting cranky just the way that I'm messing up these words. Tell him that the cranky old gay guy recommended him. All right, later on. Bye-bye.